What's up? What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's good? What's good, bro?
Chilling, man. How are you?
Always chilling. You know
I
that.
like it, man. You the most laid back, low key guy I know.
For real. For real, dude.
Yeah, man. That's
No
a
way.
compliment, bro.
That's a huge compliment.
Yeah, man.
I'm actually honored. Yeah,
I'm honored.
I am.
Well, I'm honored that you're honored by me being honored by you, man.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yes, indeed, bro.
So there's a lot of stuff popping this weekend, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy time for me, man. Obviously, we had Steelers football Thursday night. We're going to get into that.
Yep.
But Friday night, man, check out some high school football.
I was gonna say I had no clue about any of this. I'm seeing you on Instagram and social media. You're dressed up in a spacesuit. You're up in the student section at what was the Moon-Mars game?
Moon versus Mars, yeah.
And everyone amped up. Looks like a blast. I'm like, damn, he's doing things here.
Yeah, man. So in my spare time, when I'm not dropping the podcast with you or recording the Arthur Moats show or doing the Steeler Nation Blitz, Steeler Nation radio stuff or on 93.7 The Fan, you know, I hop out and check out some of these high school games, right? And the Steelers had hit me up and they said, you know, we got the Steelers high school football showcase game of the week, and it's going to be Moon versus Mars. I'm like, all right, okay, sounds pretty cool. And they sent me a text and they're like, yo, so we're thinking just to kind of play on the whole Battle of the Galaxy stuff, this and that, we got a spacesuit for you to wear. And I'm like, what? A spacesuit? Hold on now. Like, where we going with this thing? And mine's just hot. Yeah. It's hot outside. It was humid and everything. But you know me, I'm always game. So I'm like, all right, bet. I'm going to come up there. We're going to make it happen. So we get the spacesuit on me. I'm like, oh, shoot, it's a little tight, but you know, we make it work. But the fans, man, they loved it. The kids loved it. The student sections, like you said, were insane. But just, man, seeing how even as an alumni of the Steelers, you come out to these events and support the youth, man, they love it. They get hype about it. And, man, you know, I had to cut up a little bit, played the drums like I was in drum line.
Dude, I heard that because, you know, we talked about our pilot podcast about us playing drums. So
absolutely,
I had to check you out when you're playing drums. I'm like, he's got it on point. He's good.
Man,
he's good.
I was over here clowning with him a little bit, man, just having a little fun. Got to do my cheerleading, so I felt like I just I hopped into every movie I could. I was a Man on the Moon a little bit. Then after that, I went a little drum line, Devin Miles. Yep. Then I was in Bring It On because I got my cheer on. Yeah. And then, I hopped in the student section and just got crazy active with it, man. So it was a good time.
Any funny things the kids were saying to you?
Oh, man. Listen, you know, kids are kids. We'll just leave it at that, man. They always got some good stuff to say. It's never a dull moment.
Clever, huh?
It's never a dull moment. You know that.
It's crazy some of the stuff they can come up with.
Oh, off the top, you're just
it's like,
wow.
Hey, you know,
like, what? But nonetheless, man, everybody has smiles on their faces. The social media reaction to it, man, that's the thing I love too. They're like, oh man, that's me in this video. I see me in this picture, and I'm like, yeah, you know, that's what we just try to bring, man, that entertainment value to it. You know, make them feel like they're included in it, and they get to feel included. So that was a good thing.
I'm trying to think. So whenever I was in high school, when we did our student section like that, and we'd like do little tailgates before games, and I'm trying to think, like, if you showed up or like a former Steeler showed up, like that would be awesome. It really would be, because like I think the best thing we got was Fedco. He was on Channel 11. He was like just a sports reporter, and like if he showed up to your game, it was like the game of the week. It was like a big thing.
Same here. Yeah.
But like, you get you showing up and you're getting up in these stands and you're on the drum line and you're dressed up in a spacesuit. I feel like that's a way better experience.
Hey, I agree. I think
no offense to Fedco, but
silly. Well, it's funny you say that. So for me, growing up, similar concept. Like we had the game of the week and they would pull up in a helicopter. What? So, you know, if you saw the helicopter come out there, you're like, oh, man, this is legit. And it would be whatever, like, the big local sportscaster was. Yeah. He would show up to that game. And that was a big deal. They put the camera on the crowd, the cheerleaders, probably be there for, like, 10 minutes tops and leave. Whereas with the Steelers, they'll have you come out there. Literally, I do the honorary coin toss. I'll do a little brief just synopsis on the game. Do fan interviews. I mean, this particular one, I hopped up. Not only was I in the crowd, but I did the broadcast booth as well. Did a little bit of their commentary. So you get more of a full experience when it comes with the Steelers doing it. And they do a good job of keeping up with the times in terms of they don't just post it on Steelers.com. They do Steelers.com, then they're going to put it on Twitter, Instagram. So they hit all the social media avenues as well. So any way you want to watch it, you get to feel involved. You get to see yourself out there and have some input in it. So that's what I think is really unique about what the Steelers do in that regard. Because a lot of teams, they don't do that. They don't have the youth initiative or the high school game they want to showcase per week. But the Steelers, that's what they do. And I think that's what makes them one of a kind. So I was just glad I got to be a part of it and have a little bit of fun, baby.
That was sweet, bro. It was good for you. And I saw you, I don't know, you combine the whole outfit together with the threes.
Oh, yeah, you had to go with some J's on my feet, man.
Yeah, the white threes with the spacesuit.
Look, man, if I'm in my spacesuit, I'm traveling through the galaxy, I got to be jaywalking while I do it, man. Jump, man. That's what I do. All right. It's it's a part of the whole get up though, man. You can't be a regular generic spaceman. Nah. You gotta have swag on it, baby.
Exactly, 100%. Now I got a question for you from my weekend.
All right, let's talk about it.
This is way more off topic than yours, but I think it's a funny concept. So I'm practicing with my band on Saturday, and I roll up and I had like pajama pants on.
Okay.
So I'm
always
just
in comfy attire though.
Yeah, I'm just chilling. But anyway, I called my buddy like after, and he's at Steel Cactus, and I was gonna go meet him.
Yeah.
So what would you do, or what would you think of me walking to meet you with pajamas on at a bar?
What type of shoes did you have on with the pajamas? That's the real question.
Oh man, you can only guess. It was those Crocs.
Oh no, yeah.
Crocs and then a flannel.
See, this is where we differ, right? With you are super comfy and just like you don't really like you'll rock with that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know what I mean? But that's your thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if you did pull up like that. For me, I don't mind the bed pants. I don't mind the flannel. But you gotta have some heat on your feet if you showing up like that. Like I would have had the bed pants on with a flannel and like some like exclusive J's on or something where they like, dang, where'd you get them at? Just to like compliment the outfit. Like that's how I would have pulled that. But you that's your style, man. That's what makes Deke.
Right. But I had a dilemma because I felt bad. Like one, I didn't even know if they would let me in because I'll tie this whole story together.
Yeah.
One, I didn't even know they would let me in with the pajamas. They would say like, this is outside
dress
of our dress
code violation.
So I had jeans. I actually had jeans in the back of my car. Just randomly. I think these ones that I have on actually.
Okay,
right
that's
now.
a nice jeans, by the way.
So I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, what do I do here? It's like this whole existential equation going on in my head. Do I throw on the jeans
bad pants to
please other people so I'm not drawing attention to like me and my friends? Or do I just be what I want to be with the flannel pants?
Live, Deke.
I don't know. It was like this whole thing. Because like I don't want to. I don't know.
You don't want to rock the boat, upset the status quo.
I will though. I will.
Because that's you.
I will. But then it's just like. But there's something to just being in a group setting and like not trying to like draw attention and like piss people off.
Okay.
So it's like it was like this balance. So anyway, I pull over. I threw on the jeans.
Oh,
I threw on the jeans. And
you succumb to it.
As I'm pulling up the Steel Cactus, I realize I don't have my wallet anyway. Go back to my crib. Can't find my wallet. They're leaving in an hour anyway, so don't even go out. But it was something that was weighing on me.
That's funny.
I wanted to get your take on it.
I wouldn't have changed. But then again, I probably wouldn't have had Crocs on. In fact, I know I wouldn't because I don't own a pair of Crocs. So my shoes would have been fire, and that's all I would have cared about, man. I would have pulled up. But now the no ID, yeah, that's a tough one, especially on the south side.
It made my decision easy.
Man, so not only did we have some high school football on Friday night, college game Saturday, but Thursday night, Steelers' final preseason game took place. If you stood tall and watched the whole thing, more power to you.
Dude, I had it on. I was thinking
did
about
too,
the podcast.
man. I did too. It got a little rough, especially in the second half. I was just like, ooh, cha.
Well, what was rough is that you're expecting none of these players are really making it, right? Skipper was in there a little bit, but that was
he got up at halftime. So I'm just kind of like, jeez,
yeah.
and like you said, I'm thinking about the podcast. I'm thinking about, okay, I got radio obligations with the Steelers, so I got to know everything that happened in the game. I got to be able to give you in-depth analysis. But man, it's funny. Like my kids, they're like, "Dad, what are you doing? Why are you watching?" I'm like, yo, this is work. Like I'm doing this for the job. All right, this is for us. I got to do this, guys. But yeah, it was rough.
There were a few standout things that happened though.
Absolutely, man.
Johnny Holton.
Yeah, I thought he played extremely well. Initially, people only talked about him in the special teams aspect, but I think he really showed some potential as a receiver. He even went out there and made a tackle on kickoff as well. And I think he's a guy that, even though he didn't make the initial 53-man roster, I could see him being a guy they circle back to, or even bring in a practice squad capacity until he develops a little bit more.
Yeah, because they only kept 5 receivers.
Right, which is, that's risky business. But we're going to get into that even more.
Yeah.
In a little bit, man. Just kind of like, but just thinking about that game too, Johnny Holton, I think, really impressed. Obviously, Tazar Skipper.
Again, yeah.
Once again, flashed, multiple sacks, forced fumbles, did it all. Make 2 special teams tackles as well, because a lot of people, that was their knock on him. He hadn't played any special teams up until that point. So for him to go out there and make 2 big tackles on special teams showed that he does have that capability. Ulysses Gilbert was another one. Performed at extremely high level. So I like that. And man, Mason Rudolph, did he put a stamp on his work or what?
yeah, because it was interesting because they started off with Dobbs, and he didn't really do much.
Not at all.
They threw in Rudolph. Kind of got lucky with the pick there at the end. Greer just literally giving us a shot at the end.
Oh, man.
But he capitalized. I mean, both those long plays to Holton were kind of put right on the money.
Beautiful passes. They were back-to-back. You think he hits Holton on the left side, then he comes right back. Was it a series or 2 later? Hits him on the right side for the touchdown. And you could see he knew it was a touchdown as soon as he released it. He's running over to Randy Fichtner, the offensive coordinator, while the ball's still in the air.
Yeah.
Like, yo, we got him. This is the one.
Well, dude, I mean, that was how we got 1 touchdown. The other one was on that.
Oh.
I guess you call it a sack or like a fumble.
So it's the trifecta. It's the strip sack.
Yeah.
Fumble recovery, house call. By Jay Elliott. That's one of the ones you dream about when you're a kid. It's like,
it would have been sick if he just would have like grabbed it, because it almost looked like that, just grabbed it right out of his hand. But
but I love it because like you get every stat right there. You get the sack, the solo sack, you get the forced fumble, you get the fumble recovery, and you get the touchdown, man. Like, that was dope. But the thing that I loved even more so, and this is a true 4th preseason game staple, he gets the strip sack. He runs, 90 yards for the touchdown, turns around, has to cover the kick, and turn around and get right back on defense. That's a 4th preseason staple. No substitutions. No, you're tired. Just stay out there. You're good. I don't care if you're about to die. Get back out there.
And then they don't even give him the roster spot either.
Yeah, but you got to think, man, that particular room was overly crowded, man, inside and outside. So
for sure.
And we're going to talk on that as well, man. But jeez.
I'd say at the end of the day, like, looking back on that game, like, I mean, what can you do? It's the 4th preseason game. Right. How many people are actually
going to make it?
Well, going to make it, but that are going to be playing in the regular season, playing in that game. So, like, how much can you really take away? But, like, Panthers kind of had us handedly, I would say. Because, like I said, the 2 touchdowns we got were off Greer's interception, and then the strip sack, sack fumble, and then we had a field goal. Other than that, there was like nothing.
Right. And I will say this, man, going back, just the last thing we'll hit on with that preseason game before we put it officially to bed. Those quarterbacks, man, more power to them, because they didn't get a lot of help from that offensive line that they were playing with. Like, I felt like every time they took a snap, they were under duress. I felt like Devlin Hodges one time, man, he took the snap and he gets like blasted before he can even look up. I'm like, yep, that's what you get in this 4th preseason game, baby. It's a little janky out there, man.
That was another thing. Like, he had no time. And it's just like, what can you do? Absolutely,
man. But Steelers have officially made their 53-man roster. They made the big cut from 90 down to 53 a day ago. So, any surprises on your end, man, in terms of guys who made it, who didn't make it? What were your initial thoughts?
No, I think it was good. I really do. Surprises, I thought they would maybe keep an extra receiver, but maybe that would be at the cost of cutting someone like Skipper.
Yeah.
So I would rather have Skipper at this point. I think those 5 receivers, I'm good with. I think we can roll with that.
Okay.
In terms of surprises, no, I think they did a really good job there. I guess maybe the other question would maybe be at safety, them keeping Dangerfield over maybe some of the other younger guys, right. But I think all in all, it's a solid squad, solid 53. I'm good with it going in.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
So for me, I guess my 2 big surprises: Eli Rogers getting released, then that only made them have 5 receivers, just because. When you think about the multiple receiver sets that they've used and that they are planning on implementing, you don't really have a lot of wiggle room in terms of if somebody gets hurt or if somebody's not performing well. I thought that Eli could have made it, or I thought Johnny Holton, because of his special teams value and what he brought as a receiver that he showed in that 4th preseason game, that it might have warranted him that 6th receiver spot, similar to what they did with Darius Hayward-Bay for the past couple of years. He was their strictly special teams guy that might could come in and give you something every once in a while on offense. I thought Johnny could have took on that role. Then, like I said, that was the first one. I think the next surprise for me personally was the Benny Snell over Trey Edmonds. And I think the 4th round draft pick aspect people get caught up in. I think that Trey Edmonds definitely outperformed him, though, this preseason. I think that was the consensus, and Benny definitely underperformed for the expectations that were surrounding him.
Yeah.
I just think that as a 4th round pick, granted, you never want to part with your draft pick, especially a 4th rounder, but in Pittsburgh, they've done it before numerous times. I mean, I think back to when I was there, I think it was 2015, Durant Grant, 4th round pick out of Ohio State. They released him the same year as well, and he had a similar preseason where he didn't perform to that level. So I thought that could happen. So I guess that would have been my surprise. And then just them keeping 10 linebackers total. Obviously, we thought that Tazar, Skipper, and Ulysses Gilbert performed at extremely high level throughout the preseason,
right,
and should have made the roster outright. But a lot of people, and even me for a little while, thought that it would come at the expense of a Tyler Matakadovich, or it would come at the expense of Ola Adani being put on injured reserve to start the season. But they ended up keeping them all, which I was like, okay, when I look into it more, I'm like, I can understand it. But that was surprising because I definitely didn't think that was going to happen.
Why can you understand it?
Well, I can understand it because when you look at the outside linebacker room, you have Bud Dupree, TJ Watt are your 2 healthy guys. Ola is coming off a knee surgery, so he's still going to be at least 2 to 3 more weeks. Chickalo missed the last 2 preseason games with something. We don't know what it was. So essentially, you're going into that game right now with 2 healthy guys and one question mark if Chickalo is back healthy or not. So it's like you had to keep Tazar in that regard, right? But then at the same time, you don't want, if you put Ola on IR, Tazar is your only healthy guy, and then say Chick does end up missing some time. Well, now you're stuck with just 3 guys, and one of those guys has never played an NFL game before. So that's very risky business as well. So that was kind of why I was like, all right, I could see the Tazar move, and I could see them not IR and Ola and wait until week 8 or 9 for him to come back when he can be back in, week 2, week 3.
Right.
Then for the inside linebackers, Ulysses, like I said, without a doubt, he flat out balled this preseason, so it made sense to keep him. But Tyler, I thought because of him not having the best defensive preseason, that he might be a casualty. But the flip side is his special teams value was so out of this world that I think that is really what got him the nod to make it as well, because over the past couple of years, he's led the team in special team tackles, been one of the top special teams players in the NFL as a whole. So that was the other reason why I'm like, you know what? I can see why they kept him as well, and why you would still keep Ulysses, because Ulysses has, I think if he develops like he's on the trajectory too, he could be something special with his speed and just playmaking ability.
Right.
And that's what you want. And especially when you look at Vince Williams, he's not the fast style linebackers that you got right now with Mark Barron and Devin Bush. So you can see you want to transition to a more speedier group. Ulysses brings that to the table. But then also with Mark Barron, it's like, okay, is he a 1-year guy? Is he going to be a 2 or 3 year guy here? You don't know. But at least with Ulysses, you have an option that can develop in the wings right now. So in the likelihood that, Mark is gone next year,
you don't want to have another Shazier type scenario.
Exactly. Right. Where you're searching for the next guy. You're trying to find somebody off the street. At least you have a guy who fits that speed, athletic linebacker mold right now on the roster.
Yeah, we saw how big of an impact that was.
Absolutely, man.
So is there anything you would change? Like how you would divvy up the cuts.
I think the biggest for me, it's hard for me to say that I would, because for each move that I could make,
so I was going to say,
I could still justify them doing what they did.
Well, if you cut one of the linebackers off, you mentioned this, you would maybe just take out one of the linebackers, right? Like whatever linebacker you add, you're cutting a linebacker, as opposed to if you're cutting a linebacker, taking out another position. Do you know what I mean?
Well, see, for me, I was like, okay, I could take another receiver, but then am I going to IR Ola, or am I going to release Red, or is Ulysses Gilbert not going to make it? Like, I don't want to play that game. And then I feel like from the quarterback standpoint, do you go into a season with just 2 quarterbacks? I feel like that's still risky business. I don't really like it. And then even with the Trey Edmonds versus Benny Snell matchup, I think that Trey can help you this year right away. But I think Benny, if he drops some weight, he'll have the higher ceiling.
Right.
So in that regard, it's kind of like, I don't want to play that game either of, okay, you try to put Benny on practice squad. I think another team would still pick him up just because of that potential. Mm-hmm. So those are all the things I kind of weigh. So it's like, you know what? When in doubt, you go with the guys who get paid the millions to make these decisions, and that's why Kevin Colbert is Kevin Colbert.
It's all good then.
Absolutely. And I will say this, I did like the fact, because we talked about with the offensive line, right, and how much talent and depth they had. I did like the fact that instead of them just releasing Gerald Hawkins, they traded him to Tampa Bay along with the 7th round pick in the 2021 draft, and they ended up getting the Bucs 6th round pick in that 2021 draft. So I did like the fact they're able to get some type of compensation, and especially with Gerald Hawkins being a former 4th round pick in the 2016 draft. Mm-hmm. He was a guy that dealt with some injuries but still has potential. And I think him going to Tampa Bay might be a good situation for him, just because he'll get a better opportunity there. Whereas here in Pittsburgh, the O-line, I mean, the starters are already set, and then it's still depth behind them on top of that. For him, he was going to be in a crowded room. Yeah. So that definitely, I think, works out for him a lot, man.
Little Steelers connection there on that trade, huh?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Arians.
Hey, it's like that, man.
Getting the former squad. Cardinals were like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, think about when Bruce Arians was when he was in AZ.
Well, it started with Wisenhunt out there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Steelers West. I went out there, and it's more Steelers fans than Cardinals fans being AZ, man. They like, yo, you Arthur Most number 55 of the Steelers. I'm like, well, technically, I'm Arthur Most number 93 of the Cardinals, but I got what you're saying. I'll sign that 55 jersey. I'll put Ghost Steelers on it for you while I got this Cardinals jersey on. Yeah, man.
It's good stuff. Yeah, I'm liking the squad. I feel good about this team going forward. I think we got the depth.
Absolutely.
We got the star power up front on the starters. So
15-1 looking good?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the 3rd preseason game, and even the ones before, I saw what I needed to see out of the starters. Like I said, the speed on defense. Yeah. We know what the offense is going to do. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
This 4th preseason game, I'm not wavered. I mean, because like we were talking about, how many of these guys actually stuck on the roster that we were seeing out there for most of the game. So I'm good. I good, like man.
That. All right, that sounds good. And let's see what other moves were made. The Steelers released 2 of their draft picks this season. Sutton Smith, their 6th round pick out of Northern Illinois, and Derwin Gray, their 7th rounder, offensive tackle out of Maryland. I don't really think I was surprised by that. What about you?
No, because like we were saying, that all those guys have been performing, especially linebacker with Gilbert and Skipper, and then you just have guys that have been around the system for a while. Like it's just a crowded room. So you've said it before. We've cut 4th rounders before. Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see it. So, and then the same thing with our line is
stacked, bro.
Yeah, it's really good. So it didn't really surprise me.
Yeah.
You know?
And for me, I agree, man. I thought that Sutton, especially because he missed the first 2 games and he missed a chunk, like pretty much all of training camp with the injury. I thought when he came back versus the Titans, got a raw deal going against Taylor Lewan. Arguably one of the best left tackles in the game. And then I thought he performed really well in his 4th preseason game, getting a sack, looking extremely active, but I thought it was just too little too late. Man, when you think about the body of work that Tazar has put together throughout this whole preseason, it's like, how do you not give him that spot when he clearly earned it, outperformed everybody? And then with Derwin Gray, I think he struggled anyways, man, in that 4th preseason game especially. And I think that really hurt him on top of the fact that the other guys played extremely well. It's like you can't be in the 4th preseason game and struggle. That's the game. If you're supposed to be on the roster, that's the game that you dominate. That's the game that you stand out. That's the game that you still should look a cut above the rest in that particular game. And I don't think he did that. So
I have a question just outside of Steelers, Panthers, or like the roster cuts and all that. Like, why does these fourth preseason games look so different from like college football? Like, why isn't it like, because these guys were all pretty solid on their college football teams. Like, why don't we see like a higher level of play? Is it because the system is completely different?
Well, this is what I will tell you. It's funny you say that. Personally, the play is better than what you would see in a college game. Like, you think when you see college game, you see blowouts, 40 zip, 50 zip. You would never see it in a fourth preseason game, and here's why. The competition level is so good in terms of a guy that was playing that fourth preseason game was an All-American at whatever college he was at. Right. But the difference is, in college, you might have a team that's stacked with 5 or 6 NFL guys, right? And this other team might only have one guy that could be in the league. So it appears that, man, this team looks so much better. They look like they're playing at such a higher quality. When you're looking on this NFL game in the fourth preseason, you're like, man, it's only 10-6 or 10-3. Like, what's going on here? But you got Will Grier out here throwing, and we saw what he did at West Virginia. Yeah. But in the NFL game, he doesn't look like that because the competition is that much greater. And I think that's
all borderline NFL players right there.
Everybody in that fourth preseason game, even if they won't make a roster, the fact that they're on a roster right then still tells you their talent level. Yeah. If they're on the roster right then and they're playing in the fourth preseason game, the game that technically doesn't matter, the game where you're just kind of like, oh, is this guy even good enough? You factor them being at the collegiate level, and they special on that level. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's kind of where the misperception is in between the two.
So you don't think it's as much of learning the new system?
I don't, because in the fourth preseason game, I'll tell you, a lot of times, from my personal experiences, you dumb down the calls. Okay. Yeah, whatever you ran on that Thursday game, that third preseason game, when you get to the fourth game, it's going to be the exact same, probably half of the calls. I remember in Pittsburgh, we were going to that fourth preseason game with 10 calls tops. And I mean, I've been in games where we're going with 40 calls, to put it in perspective. So 10 calls, but you only call 5 of them. You have to think 2 of those 10 are going to be situational end of the half call, Hail Mary call, goal line defense. So you don't really have a wide amount of calls, but it's more so just to see, can you play? Yeah. Like, it's like, hey, go out there and put your best foot forward. We don't want you to think. So in that fourth preseason game, that's what you get. But when you look at the names of the players that are playing in the fourth preseason game, you're like, oh, no, these dudes can still go to any college level game right now, even if it's Alabama, if it was Auburn and Oregon last night, and they're still going to be a top player on that game.
Well, dude, I mean, the Steelers QBs, I mean, it shows you right there. Mason Rudolph was a stud at OK State. So was Dawes with Tennessee. And then on the other side with Will Grier, I mean, he was a Heisman candidate going into last year.
Right. But when you watch the game, you're like, oh, man, this is
I don't remember these dudes like that.
Right. But when you watch the game, you're like, this doesn't even look like good ball, man. These dudes suck. And it's like, I can assure you, you could ask the West Virginia fans right now, if Will Grier could come back in their door right now, oh, they would pay that man more than what he can make as an NFL player right now to be a West Virginian playing this year. Like, that's just how it is, man. But the level of competition is so great in the NFL that even when it's 90 men on the roster, you have to think about how many players play college football. D1, D2, D3, JUCO. And even during the training camp phase where it's 90 guys on a roster, it's still a ton of college athletes that aren't even good enough to get the invite to be one of those 90 that were all conference. They were third team All-American. So kind of that's the thing that makes it why that fourth preseason game is, you're used to seeing something special from the All-Stars and the big-time performers, but that level is still going to be so much better than a college game where, like I said, it's 40 zip at halftime. Yeah. And you're just like, yo, what is this? Is this team really that good? Like, no, they're playing against some guys that barely got a scholarship here. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of how that whole thing goes, man.
No, 100%. And well, I wanted to ask you one more thing. Are they already game planning for Patriots at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They started game planning for the Patriots after the third preseason game. Okay. Because that's going to be your most direct correlation to what you will see opening game. So they're looking at that Patriots third preseason game from a personnel standpoint and from a schematic standpoint, and they're watching the Super Bowl because those are your 2 recent games that you go off of. Okay. Yeah. You don't really care about the first preseason game or the second one because everybody installs gradually leading up to the third game. But you know,
are they watching the Super Bowl though when the schedule comes out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so even back, I don't remember whenever the schedule
dropped.
June.
Yeah, whenever the schedule dropped, you watch that team's last game. So if you're the Steelers, if you're New England, you're watching the Cincinnati game, the end of the season. You're watching the third preseason game, and if you want to throw in the first, second, just from a personnel standpoint, because some guys might have been injured or whatever, the first, second preseason game, you throw that in there just to see a particular person. So you can see, okay, this is what he looks like on film. But other than that, that's kind of where you go with it.
Mind games.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, well, and that's why, like, in the preseason, especially, like, for me, when I would prepare for week 1, like I said, I'm always watching that last game, that last regular season game for them, whenever it was, playoffs, whatever. I'm watching the third preseason game because that's going to be the close to what I'm going to see come week 1. And then if it was a particular player that I wanted to look at, say, for example, if you're in Pittsburgh or if you're scouting the Steelers and you wanted to see... if you want to see Anthony Chicklow, for example, right? He didn't play in the first game. He didn't play in the third or fourth game. So you watch the second game just so you can see him on film. Let me see what he looks like. Let me see how he moves.
Right.
Let me see what's his strengths, his weaknesses. And that's kind of how you would go with it.
Wow, man.
Yeah, man. It's a lot that goes into the preparation for it, man.
That is. That's some interesting stuff there.
Hey, but you got to be prepared. Because at that level.
So how many times would you watch a game?
So this is how I would break it down. Typically, to start the week out, I'm going to watch a whole game on, say we're starting on a Monday. I'm going to watch whatever game I pick, whether if it's the opening game to start the season, I'm going to watch their last game that they ever played in the regular season, the whole duration on Monday.
Okay.
Just to see how they play offensively, the style, who stands out to me. Then from there on Tuesday, I'm going to go and I like to watch my offensive tackle, the guy I'm going to be facing. So I'm going to watch him now in depth, detail, that last preseason game. Not just watching the offense as a whole, just focusing on him. Every play that he's out there, what does he do? Yeah. Marking out his wins, his losses, what he did well, what he doesn't do well. Now when we get to Wednesday, now I'm going to focus on their run plays. So I'm going to cut up the film. So through the iPads they give you in the film systems, you can get it categorized to just certain plays. So I'm going to pull up every run play they had for that third preseason game, that last regular season game, or I might do all of that last season, every run play they had. Because I want to see what type of runs they like to run. When you start seeing the same runs showing over and over on a cut up, you know, okay, this is probably one of their favorite runs. Versus you can watch them in a game and they might run that play 6 times, but because it's so spaced out, you don't really get a hold of it. But if you see that same exact running play 100 times over a 16-week season, you're like, okay, this is their run. This is what they want to do. It's their bread and butter. So I'm going to figure out their top 3 run plays. That's Wednesday. Thursday, now I'm looking at their top passing concepts, whether they like to go 3 wide receivers, split, 2 wide receivers, who's their featured guys, where's the ball more than likely going, front side or back side. Now I'm looking at that. Once it gets to Friday, I'm looking at situational football, 3rd down and 5 or less. I'm looking at 4th down plays. I'm looking at red zone plays. I'm looking at 2-point conversions. That's it. Once we get back to Saturday, I'm going to come back to my tackle that I watched. I'm going to watch him again and again, just to make sure I got him fully fine-tuned. And then when I get to Sunday morning, shoot, man, I ain't watching nothing.
Yeah, time to play.
I'm just going to the game. I don't want nothing else in my mind.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome, man. Thanks for the inside scoop.
No doubt, man. But yeah, because you got to prepare.
People don't think about that though. They see you on Sunday. That's it. That's work.
Absolutely. That's why I tell people all the time. Like when I tell people I walked away from the game because like you get burnt out. I was tired of it. Like imagine you doing that for 9 years, every day.
Yeah,
every day. And then it's not just that's not counting what I do at the facility. That's on my own time. The team, they got their own schedule of what film we're gonna watch, special teams, offense, all the other stuff that you're doing while you're at work. This is when I come home and I'm like, oh, this is technically my free time when I'm off. No, this is what you have to watch if you want to stay in this league. If you
Most players doing that, you think? On their own time?
Well, this is the thing. The league average is 2.5 years. I doubt that the majority of the guys are doing that because if they did, they would all be able to stay in this league longer.
Got you.
So, but I think, man, the ones that do stick, that's what they do. The ones who have that chance of being great, you got to, man. It's just like anything, right?
Yeah.
If me and you come up here and the only time we watch football or talk football is just when we're about to hop on the mic, we're not going to be as good as us actually watching the games all the time, us actually studying the stats, studying everything. Yeah. So we were prepared. And that's kind of how it is, man. So
100%. I love it. That's good shit, man. I love it.
Absolutely, man. All right, so not only we talked Thursday football, we talked Friday night hopping into these high school games, and we had some college football on Saturday, man.
Oh man.
Any games I'll tell you which games I checked out. Obviously, I'm a big JMU guy. Go Dukes. Followed the game versus West Virginia.
I was wondering what was going on because you had your boy. Yeah. You were doing your radio show. With the Steelers Nation Radio. Yeah. And he's a
W guy.
Okay, he went to West Virginia, and I was wondering what was going on because I'm like, there's not really a rivalry between JMU and West Virginia. Like, what's going on?
Because we played against each other.
Yeah.
They got lucky, man. Well, actually, they ended up winning 20-13. We turned the ball over too much. Period. You can't have multiple turnovers at that level. We were leading at the half. I think it was 7-3. Should have been up 14-3, honestly, man. But that's the nature of it. It's funny, though, man. Just when you follow on Twitter, the reactions between the JMU fans and how we have the expectation to win.
You thought you were going to win?
Oh, absolutely. No,
Wait, is West Virginia ranked this year?
I don't even know. We don't really care. Like, for us.
Really, though?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, like. We walked away like, yo, that's unacceptable that we lost 2013. Like the West Virginia fans, like, oh my God, we barely escaped. Thank God we won. But first we're like, no, we don't. Like close doesn't really matter for us. It's either you're winning them all or you're sucking. And when you look at the game, you watch the film. I mean, it was out there. You see who was the better team. You see who was dominating the line of scrimmage, making the plays. But you have the turnovers. That gives mixed possessions. I mean, they were +3 in the turnover battle. If that's flipped, come on, man. It's 28-3 easily. But that's a part of the game, man. But that's why we always tell people, man, it doesn't matter who has the better team. It's about who plays the best. Mm-hmm. And they played better that day, man. They didn't turn the ball over, and that's how they won. So, tip your cap to them, man. But we're going to go ahead and drop a 70 burger on whoever we're playing this week. I feel bad for them. That's typically how this thing works. Anytime we lose a game, we come back, and it gets pretty gory.
Right. So you lose a game, and the next team got to pay for it.
Yeah, that's definitely going to It's going to be a 70 burger.
I watched my alma mater as well, Pitt.
Oh, okay. Hell to Pitt. Yeah.
So
prime time.
They got me too, dude. They got me. I shouldn't have even went on ESPN. I went on ESPN.com. I shouldn't have even been on my phone while I'm driving. That's a bad thing.
Ooh,
but I'm just randomly on ESPN.com while I'm just saying, hey, what college games are on? Yeah. I see, when's Pitt play? They play at 7:30. They play Virginia. And then I see the line, and I see it was -2.5 Virginia. No, so I'm like, wow, Pitt's the underdog here, and they're home. I'm like, I think,
you did not do that.
I think Pitt's like underrated this year. I've heard some stuff on ESPN like,
oh dang, Deke, no, Deke.
Some people think Pitt's gonna surprise people, and they're home. Like, what can go wrong? Like, I can't remember the last time we lost the home game.
Well, and actually, they were 4-0 versus UVA under Narduzzi going into this game.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
everything was lined up.
I'm like, man, Virginia's no better than Pitt. Like, come on, you got to cut me a break here. So. Yeah, that got my mind spinning. So the plans were, I was going down to the Rib Fest with my girl. Her friend was in from out of town, and we go down there and we're hanging, and the casino's close by, so little trips made over there. And I actually didn't even take the points either. I just did the money line, just straight up. I was
you was big boy in it.
Yeah,
I don't need these points. Don't worry about me. I got this, guys.
And they lost and were terrible. And
oh man,
I watched about half the game. We watched a little bit of it down there, like the first quarter. We were down 10-0 early. I'm like, this is beautiful. And I watch it back here. It was like the third quarter. I think we were only down like 9 or something like that at that point. And Pickett was turning the ball over. We couldn't
quarterback
get anything
play was
going.
Rough, man.
It was bad.
Quarterback play
it was bad, but
well, the receivers, they ain't helping me either, man.
It just sucks. It sucks with college football because even though, like, logically, Pitt, they're not going undefeated. They're not going to the national championship game. But, like...
That's got to suck feeling like that, huh? Being a fan of a school like that. At James Madison, we're always expecting national championships. We're always expecting to go undefeated. We're pissed right now that West Virginia got us, period.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, you basically got to go undefeated in the D1 to go to the championship, you know?
Especially if you're not at Alabama
right.
or
you're not getting the benefit
Georgia,
of the
something like
doubt,
that, right?
So it's like over. Like I'm not trying to play for a bowl game here,
right? And then on top of that, like when they look at your victories and because they actually do weigh that stuff, they'll look and say, oh, who did they beat and what was the score? And it's like, y'all beat JMU 20-13. Like, really?
Yeah.
And it came with like y'all had to score in the fourth to get that. Like
So what they should do is just whatever team wins the conference should go to the playoffs instead of ranking. Because
like basketball?
No, yeah. Well, make it like 6 or 8 teams and maybe 2 wild cards. So like you have your big.
So you still have something to play for,
right? You have your Big 5 conferences. So like, because if Pitt somehow goes on a run and they beat Clemson, and they
still want to get in because they got the loss already.
Exactly, yeah. But like. Yeah, give them credit because they beat those teams. Like
that actually could work, but they would have to expand the playoffs. I think they're going to expand it anyways, just because the money.
That's what I mean. Make it like 8 teams, maybe.
Right? Because
5 locks for the Big 5 conferences, and then 3 wild cards.
Absolutely, and I think they already still have the bowl game concept with these playoff games anyway, so that could work. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I like how your mind's working, baby.
I'm just saying, I'm already out of it right now. Pitt's out of it, so like. If you make it so at least the ACC winner makes it,
then they still got something to compete for.
Because you can have 2 ACC teams in it.
Yeah,
so say
the at-large bid and whoever won it.
Clemson loses to Pitt randomly throughout the season, or even in that ACC championship game, but they were undefeated going into that point. They can make that wild card.
I like that.
So like you're still a dominant team and just have a fluky loss, you can still be in.
That would make the college playoffs a lot more interesting, and I think the selection process a lot better. Because right now you have people that complain about Alabama because of like either their schedule is bad.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well, and it makes me almost feel like, what's the point of scheduling some of these super tough out of conference games when one loss it kills you in terms of making the college football playoffs?
Yeah.
So I could definitely understand that, man, without a doubt.
Yeah, but it was. Nothing too eventful for me with the college football yesterday. That was the only game I watched.
Okay, so the JMU game, that was, like I said, that was my baby right there. Hurt me that we dropped one to West Virginia Mountain Who's, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. So what else we got here?
We had a ton of movement, some big trades, and some releases when we talk about around the league. I guess for me, the big move was Jadeveon Clowney getting traded to the Seattle Seahawks. You got the details in terms of the numbers with that, but that was a big move, and a lot of people thought that Houston would have received more. But I think, man, for Houston, it was more so they knew that Clowney more than likely wasn't going to sign that contract, the franchise tag. So you essentially would have to go through the same situation that the Steelers went through with Le'Veon Bell, and I think they just wanted to get something for him. So you trade him off and.
Yeah, I guess you can't blame them for that. The thing I'm wondering is with the Seahawks, like, what were they doing this past year or two with getting rid of Frank Clark and then bringing in Clowney?
I know, it's the exact same situation.
Now they're paying him $16 million this year on the franchise tag, and they're probably he wants to be the highest paid defensive end.
But so this is the thing that's funny.
Unless they just want him on a 1-year rental, I don't know.
So this is the funny thing to me. I feel like for the Seahawks, they were in the exact same situation with Frank Clark.
Right.
I don't think they loved Frank Clark to be that type of performer, though. So that's why they didn't want to give him the extension. So you trade him. Cool. Jadeveon Clowney, I think, is the better player. I think we would all say he's a better player than Frank Clark. So you take him on the 1 year. If you're going to pay a franchise tag to a pass rusher anyways, I'd much rather pay it for Clowney than Frank Clark. But then the flip side is you still have the potential that he might re-sign because now he's still going to be on a contender, right? The Seahawks are still going to be in the conversation. They have Russell Wilson. They still have pieces. That defense, though, Clowney has a chance to be on a top defense in this league when you look at the pieces that they have there with a Bobby Wagner, with the KJ Wright, the guys up front as well. I mean, they definitely...
You think he just didn't like the Texans situation then?
I don't think it was that he didn't like the Texans situation. I don't think the Texans loved him enough to pay him what he wanted to get paid.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be paid as the top pass rusher. But if you're the Texans, you're like, hey, this guy's been extremely inconsistent. Sometimes he looks great. Sometimes he disappears. I don't want to pay him what he wants.
What if the Seahawks don't, though?
Well, that's the thing. If the Seahawks don't, well, now he just hits the open market and he wins in that regard. Okay. And for the Seahawks, you were going to be stuck paying a franchise tag anyways if it was Frank Clark. So for you, if you're the Seahawks, you get an elite or an elite caliber player if he's motivated, which he should be because he wants to get that big contract.
Yeah, I guess what I'm wondering then is why he's playing for the Seahawks as opposed to the Texans.
Because if you're Clowney, this is how I would view it, right? It's different if I have to go outside to another team. But if you're my home team, you drafted me, right?
You don't believe in me.
And you don't believe in me? And you don't want to give me that money? Well, bump that. I don't want to play here at all. Whereas if you trade me, okay, I'm willing to go play for this same amount of money for another team and prove myself over there and prove my worth league wide to somebody who doesn't know me versus you, who I've spent the past 4 years with. I've played out here. I've getting hurt for you and all this other stuff. And I've seen other players get paid.
Yeah.
It's not like they haven't paid players. I've seen you pay other players here. But you don't want to pay me the way I feel I should be paid? Well, nah, I'd rather go Sproles then.
And at that point, too, both sides are probably pretty transparent about it, where the Seahawks are like, hey, we're bringing you in for at least this year.
Right.
Like,
if you do something special, we're open to extending you. And that's a different type of conversation versus the Texans saying, we're not going to pay you this number.
Yeah.
And you're Clowney, you're like, what? If you're not going to pay me, well, then I don't want to be here then. Like, you see the different mentalities in that and how that conversation probably went.
Right.
Yeah, but the Texans, man, were still active. Not only did they
because they brought in Laramie Tunsil
and Kenny Stills, from Miami. They gave up a ton though,
So
man,
I wonder how much they're looking at Luck's situation and are thinking like, hey, we should probably protect Deshaun Watson because he was getting hammered last year.
He was. That's been the one thing with the Texans. Their O-line has been very underwhelming, to say the least. And yeah, you're hearing the Andrew Luck situation, him retiring from being beat up too much, man. Deshaun has already missed the season with the ACL. He's been it was like the most sacked or most hit quarterback.
Oh man, dude,
it wasn't even close.
It was crazy last year.
Yeah,
I think he had 60-something sacks, but then if you add the hits,
QB hits, yeah,
he was getting double-digit hits.
And sometimes the hits are worse than the sacks.
Yeah.
But if you're Houston, you bring in one of the top left tackles in the game in Laramie Tunsil.
Was it too much?
I don't think it is, and here's why. At least with Laramie, he's still under contract for the next couple of years, and you know he's a franchise left tackle, which are rare. Once you get those, you keep them, period. You lose Clowney, like I said, in the trade to Seattle, but you bring in Markevius Mingo, who's a former first-round pick. He can still give you something, right, in terms of high energy and things like that. If you're Miami, you get the draft picks, and I think for Miami, you can see they're kind of unloading a lot of their assets.
Yeah,
as well.
You can't blame them for doing
They traded away Kiko Alonso as well, so they're just trying to rebuild, get as much assets that they can, so next year they can make their moves. Mm-hmm. So if you're Houston, I don't think they gave up too much.
Well,
because you got your star quarterback in Deshaun Watson, you got your star receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, you have your star defensive player in J.J. Watt. You bring in now your star left tackle and Laramie Tunsil. I mean, you're pretty good in all of those phases now.
Do you think the Luck situation had anything to do with the trade, as far as they're thinking like, hey, he's retired, division's wide open, let's put a lock on it right
absolutely.
here.
The division is extremely open, and especially if you're Houston, when you're thinking about how every year they go back and forth with them. Now you're looking at the division like Tennessee doesn't look very good. Tennessee, their quarterback situation, they still don't believe that it's going to be Mariota to finish the season. They think Tannehill has a chance to take over there. Jacksonville, you got Nick Foles obviously down there now, but even their situation is still kind of in flux.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're Houston, you're like, man, this looks kind of good. No Andrew Luck. Tennessee looks crazy.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville's still a question
They're probably
mark.
looking, our offense was halfway decent or above average last year.
Absolutely.
Even with all the hits and everything.
Yeah,
Watson still put up numbers, and they were winning, so why not let's put a stamp on it. Yeah.
And I think even when you look at the running back situation, they lose Lamar Miller, but you still have Duke Johnson. They signed Carlos Hyde as well. So for them, I mean, you have to have a lot of optimism if you're in Houston in terms of winning that division. Mm-hmm. So I like them. I mean, I think it's going to come down between them and Jacksonville personally. But that's really going to depend on what Nick Foles looks like as the full year starter outside of Philly now. Jacksonville,
they're probably like the most underrated, interesting team in the league this year.
They are.
Like,
because they have some players.
No one's talking about them.
Yeah.
Like, they could be kind of sick, but they could be
kind of bad.
Yeah.
I think their past 2 years are a direct correlation of what they could be this year in terms of their potential. They can either be in the AFC Championship game, they got that type of potential, or they can miss the playoffs and have 5 wins.
5-11.
Yeah, like
you're just not hearing anything this offseason as opposed to last offseason with Ramsey and them talking about like they have the best defense ever.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna blow teams out of the water.
Their defense was still good. It was just the offense was abysmal. Golly. And that's what killed them, man.
Yeah, 100%. But speaking of abysmal offenses, Kansas City doesn't have one. That was actually a pretty shitty transition. I tried.
It's all good, man. But look, the thing that you're going to do is this. I pick up what you put down because I like Kansas City even more now that Shady McCoy, who recently was released from the Buffalo Bills, which is a shocker to me.
Yeah.
Now the Kansas City Chiefs just signed Shady. He's reunited back with Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. I think he goes off.
I'm thinking so too. My thing
just picked him up my fantasy draft too. Shout out to Moats. Dinner is served. Winners only 55-52.
My thing is, I'm wondering how long it'll take him to be the guy. Or do you think he's gonna, he's going to start week 1? Like,
I think he starts week 1. I think he's the bell cow, without a doubt. He's reunited with Andy Reid. He knows the offense, and Andy loves him.
I don't see why he wouldn't, but I guess there's just
Andy's healthy. It's I don't see. I don't see anything that says why he can't be.
So there's nothing that, hey, I had to be in the Kansas City training camp.
Man. Not at all. Not at all. Nobody cares about the honor code or wait in line and all that. That's Shady McCoy. He's arguably one of the top backs in the history, not currently, in the history of the NFL.
Hands down.
And up until last season, he still was producing at a extremely high level. Last year, the Bills' offense, the situation was really bad. And that really hurt his productivity. And a lot of times they would just tell him, they would sit him out because they knew that the O-line was crazy up there. He was going to get hurt. So they helped him out in that regard. But when we talk about him going to Kansas City now, all bets are off, baby. Go out there and do your thing, Shady.
Hey, I got
dark horse candidate, man. I love him.
I got him too, man. Yeah. I got him too.
Smart man.
I thought he was gonna have a chance to do things up in Buffalo, but they caught him, and I was kind of down yesterday, like thinking, oh man, they caught him, and then he's picked up by the Chiefs, and I'm like, all right, good thing I didn't drop him, didn't do a knee jerk reaction drop there.
So for me, my situation, not only do I have Shady because I think he's gonna go off in Kansas City, I have Devin Singletary in Buffalo, who's essentially going to take over Shady's role, and I think he's going to go off in Buffalo.
And you got him late, huh?
Yeah.
See, you already got the feel for fantasy.
Yeah, man,
Well, do you want to start talking about that? Because you literally just had the draft
I did,
2 hours ago.
I did. And, I would say it's bad.
Your first draft.
It is bad that I don't even remember all my players. I remember the key players. Yeah, just because obviously we were recording it. I did this, I did that. But let's see. My quarterbacks, I ended up with Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, and Josh Allen.
You have 3 QBs.
I went 3 QB, and this is why. I don't trust Cam Newton right now.
Okay.
Because
is this a 2 QB league or no?
It's a 2 QB league.
Oh, you got good QBs then.
So it's I'm still nervous.
I can't believe this is 2 QB. You got the best league to be in. It's so much more fun. Yeah.
Oh, okay then. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But I'm a little nervous though about Cam Newton just because, like I said, he missed a lot of time last year with the shoulder injury. I still don't know what to expect from him.
You're smart with 3 QBs.
And even with Aaron Rodgers, he had injury issues. Mm-hmm. But I'm I know Josh Allen is going to get points in terms of he throws and he runs. So I'm okay, that works. I like that. My running backs, I went Kamara, Shady, Singletary.
Oh, you're starting. You're starting one of these risky backs?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. But it's going to be Shady.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like Shady's situation is perfect.
So your receivers got to be loaded.
Receivers, I got Juju, Keenan Allen.
Oh yeah,
man.
You're straight. Is this a PPR?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, I forgot my other guy. Daggone. I forget my other receiver. My tight end, I ended up going. Oh, and my third receiver is James Washington.
Oh,
yeah, I was like, you know what? Do I want to go Moncrief, James Washington, or Marquise Goodwin? I was like, I personally think that James is going to beat out Moncrief as the season progresses. Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin out in San Fran is dope, but I don't trust Garoppolo. And I think that offense is going to be a little iffy. So I was like, go with the safe bet. I know Ben's going to sling it. My tight end, I went Vance McDonald. I went a little Pittsburgh. I was thinking about you when I drafted him. I'm like, you know what? This is for Pittsburgh right here. For, let's see. Who else did I go with? I ended up getting a kicker. I went Boz just for the nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? That's my homie. Old teammate. I believe in the Boz, the Wiz of Boz. And then for the defense, I did draft a defense. I went with the Buffalo Bills, who were phenomenal last year, not only in real life but in fantasy as well. And that's one of my former teams.
Were you on ESPN?
Was I on ESPN?
Is it the ESPN app? Is that who you went through?
No, I went through Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Yeah, but I had the ESPN. I had everything up so I could like scout it and check it out.
ESPN makes you draft kickers and defenses.
Wow.
So they made me whenever I drafted, and
So I literally did like my last 2 picks.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, my second to last was Buffalo. My last pick was Boz.
We're literally 4 games away, or 4 days away from the regular season starting. Yeah. So like, my strategy wouldn't necessarily apply there. Okay. It'd be tough to do, I guess.
Because I was thinking about that, though, in terms of like not carrying the defense, just picking up a certain defense to go against whatever offense.
The situation where that would work is like Tony Pollard. Like you would have him as like an extra player.
I liked him early. But I'm still a little nervous.
Did you see the new reports? Though?
I did. That Zeke is about to sign. That's why I was like, I'm not touching him.
And I just traded him. I just traded Zeke. I did that trade that night whenever I was texting
for James. But you're still good with James, though. You know James is going to produce.
I am. So I got all the Steelers touchdowns.
Yeah,
essentially.
absolutely.
Because I got Ben and I got Connor.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that. It's going to make the season fun for me.
Now,
and then I got AB.
So you're in a 1 QB league, right?
1 QB.
So with that, do you have 2 QBs or you just kept
one? Dude, Brady's in the free agents in this league.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I think there was another quarterback under him with like Cam Newton might be in the free agents. Like you have him as your starter. He's just in the free agents.
So my starter is going to be Aaron Rodgers and Cam Newton will be my second one.
So I don't know how many teams in my league have 2 quarterbacks, but I don't think many because I'm only essentially going to need them for 1 week.
Right. Well, this is my question too that I wanted to ask you. My tight end, I only have 1.
I do too.
If your tight end gets hurt, do I need to like pick up another tight end? Do I have to start a tight end every week?
Yeah.
Can I start a receiver as a tight end? That's the real question.
Only if they're designated like that. Like 1 year.
Because I was thinking about that.
I think it was his rookie year. Who was it on the Saints? Colston.
Yeah.
He was designated as a receiver and a tight end.
So you could use him
like
for both.
He was like a cheat code.
Wow.
Almost happened last year with Jalen Samuels.
Yeah.
I think one of the platforms did and one of them didn't.
Tight end.
I think Yahoo did, but ESPN didn't, or I'm flip-flopping. So, like, the people that had him in that league where they could put him in tight end, like, they were cheating whenever he was the starting running back.
I can see that.
Because, like, those numbers he's getting as a starting running back, no other tight end for the most part is getting. Other than, like, Kelsey or Ertz or top 3. Yeah.
Okay. See, I think I did pretty good, though, man. I figured later in this week.
Anything surprised you about the draft, or was it?
No, it was pretty cool, man. It was funny though. People were complaining about the time that you get to pick. It was like we had 1 minute and 15.
Too long? Is that
some people were saying it was too long, but for me, I felt like that was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like, because especially like when some of my people would get picked right before I'm about to go, and I'm like, dang, I gotta look and like try to figure out who I want. But these guys have been doing it for years now. This is my first one, so I thought it was maybe.
What'd they say about your squad? They rip on you at all?
No, they like my squad. Yeah.
Okay.
They the only time they thought I picked, I forgot who they thought Vance. They thought I got him a little too early. I think it was like the 7th or 8th, because at the time I didn't have a tight end.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I literally have 2 running backs. I got quarterback. I got receivers. I'm like, yo, I even got backup receivers right now. I don't have a tight end. So, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to ask them, hey, do I have to start a tight end each week? So I was like, you know what? Let me just take a tight end. So I draft Vance, and they're like, rookie, getting them all early. I'm like, well, I didn't really know. I felt nervous.
I did the opposite. I drafted my tight end like last round before my kicker and defense. I think I got Greg Olsen really late.
Gotcha.
So that's like tight end's like one of those interesting positions where if you don't have one of the top 3 or 4, it's like,
it doesn't matter.
Because like, couldn't you see Greg, if he stays healthy, he could have just as good, if not a better year than Vance.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, for me, I was looking at Vance, and then I was looking at Jared Cook, New Orleans, and I'm like, oh, I like the New Orleans offense, Drew Brees. But then I'm like, I know he's gonna sling it. I know Van's gonna get his catches. So that's kind of why I was like, I was go advance. And it's Pittsburgh, so
100%. Yeah, if he can do some of those seasons that Heath did in the past.
Yeah, it'd be good, man.
I mean, he had a good year last year, even with James being around.
Absolutely.
So I don't see why not. That's not a bad pick.
All right, so that's good to know, man. And y'all stay tuned because I'm gonna post my my roster. I want to see what y'all guys think, the comments and everything. You know what I mean,
bro? 100%. Did you see when I did mine?
I did. Yeah.
They were like biggest boomer bust squad ever.
Hey, no question, man.
I evened it out though with that Zeke trade for Connor. It's a little more stable, but still got AB and Gurley on there.
I like that.
Yeah, I had to bring back that Big Ben AB connection.
I like it. I like it, man. So like I said, it's gonna be good though, man. We're gonna see what it looks like.
I'm excited for the season. We're just getting started, dude.
Absolutely, man. So you got anything else, man?
I think we're straight. I think we covered everything. We had some good stories.
Yes, indeed.
Some Steelers talk, preseason news, everything.
I like it, man. Hey, that's what we do, man. We cover it all here on the podcast, man. So appreciate y'all again for tuning in. Make sure you check us out next time. And you already know, baby, we got to be out of here. So I'm off the most. That's my man Deke. Until next time, baby.
Peace.